Hi everyone, this is Stef at the end of the Try a Chapter video, just popping in to say that I accidentally end up doing a reread in this video. Let's see if you can spot which one it is. And yes, it took me 60% of the way of the book to remember that this was a reread. That tells you a lot about where I was in my reading last year, particularly in the middle of the year. Have fun. Hello, wonderful friends. Welcome to my first Try a Chapter video for 2026. I haven't done as many of these recently, so we're going to try and get back into the swing of it. My name is Steph, this is the Novelty Corner, and I love a Try a Chapter video, mostly because it helps me weed out the stuff that's usually on my Kindle. And today I am going to be looking at all the books that I acquired in 2025 on my Kindle. I currently have 113 books, and this video is going live on Friday the 13th for me, so instead of doing my usual 10 videos, I'm going to do 13 because why not? Let's just roll with the number. So on the screen I'm going to put a little video of me scrolling through all of the books that I have in this 2025 folder. I do have a few little parameters for myself in that if it's a book that I'm going to be reading for a project later down the track that I already know is going to be involved in something, I'm not going to pick it up today. I'll just let you know and roll again. I'm going to use my random number generator in order to do that. If it's a book in a series that requires me to read previous books, I might just find the previous book in the folder if I've got it. If not, a lot of what I read is interconnected standalones anyway, so you don't necessarily need to read everything in order anyway. If it is a short story, I will just read it for this video. And at the end, we'll look at what I'm keeping, what I'm not keeping, and then also if there's anything that I feel compelled to read today and review in this video, I'll do that as well. I think that's the basics of my Try a Chapter video. For the sake of expediency, and because I actually have good lighting outside today and I'm using my good camera for the moment, I am going to do all of the rolls and tell you what all of the books are that I'm going to be reading first, and then I'm going to get into the Try a Chapter. I have my notepad ready, app is open, so we're going to select 3 numbers first. It would help if I actually put in the parameters. That would help, because currently it's only set to 130. That doesn't give us a lot of range, does it? All right, let's try again. 1, 2, 3. First number is 104. Is Wild Hope by Evie Mitchell. That's a good way to start. All right, number 2 is 15, and that is Life Derailed by Beth Merlin. Number 3 is 41, and that is Wicked Fall by Sawyer, Bennett. All right, number 4, 112, and that is Benji by Anna Walker. All right, 97 is Unbound. That is an arc that I have, so I can't remember when it comes out, if it's soon or not. Next number, 66, The First Play by Katy Archer. Right, next up is 23, and that is One Packing Love by Ellie Wade. All right, number 8, 94. This one is After Tonight by Lady Marie, I believe. All right, number 9, 22 is No Lie Lasts Forever by Mark Stevens. I think that's the first non-romance. All right, number 10, 20 is The Circus Infinite by Wong. 11 is 11. That's fun. Okay, so this is When the Moon Hits Your Eye by John Scalzi, which I'm actually currently reading. So I'm going to choose a new number, which is 4, and that is Wonderland by Rachel Ember. Number 12 is 80, and that is Delay of Game by Stef CR. And last one, 13, is 24, and that is Beach Hut 512, which is a short story, so I will be reading that. Okay, good thing that's the last one that I rolled. Alrighty, so we are going to jump into the first chapter. We're going to start with Wild Hope. I'll let you know my thoughts when I'm done. Alright, so a super strong start with Wild Hopes by Evie Mitchell. This is part of a connected standalone series, but it's also connected to all of her contemporary romance series as well. We start with a prologue, and I only read the prologue because the prologue's quite long, and it is the female protagonist Hope. She's out with her best friend Faye. They're dressed it's like a costume party, and they're dressed as beavers. She's being hit on by a guy who is not taking no for an answer, and someone intervenes, and it happens to be her longtime crush, Justice. And they haven't seen each other for a really long time, and they sit down and have a chat, and Hope is feeling excited because she gets to reconnect with him, but also like she would never be good enough for him. It's Evie Mitchell. I 100% trust where this story is going. So this is definitely a possibility to read today. So next up on the list is Life Derailed, and I will be back with my update soon. So the first chapter of Life Derailed by Beth Merlin is about Remy, who is the HR manager at a women's magazine, and they've just got a new employee who's come in who is basically going to clean house. Sorry for all the banging outside, there is construction going on. Anyway, she's talking to some of her friends who work there, and they're joking around because he's very attractive, etc. And then she has a meeting coming up with him, and then her boss comes in and basically says, you've got 3 months to turn it around because the person I hired is not doing their job, essentially. I'm not sure I want to do interpersonal drama. at this point. So we'll see how I feel at the end. But next up is Wicked Fall. The first chapter of Wicked Fall by Sawyer Bennett is a prologue. Again, I didn't read more because it's 5% of the book. Wolf is our MMC. He is currently in the process of building a Western-themed nightclub, which will be a front for a kink club that will be behind it. Normally this would be my thing, but I just don't really care at this point. Benji by N.R. Walker is next, so this will be a positive experience, it always is. All right, so the first chapter of Benji opens with one of our protagonists, Nolan, who is a lawyer. He is heading out to an exclusive gay bar with one of his colleagues and one of his best friends, and he has too much to drink and then is heading home, makes the decision to drive. Don't drink and drive, friends. Not okay. And he hits somebody. And that person seems to be okay, but does not want to go to the hospital, even though Nolan is trying to take him, like he feels terrible. So in the end, he takes him home. Presumably, this is Benji, I'm assuming. Compelled, as always. So next up is Unbound by Peyton Corinne. So I'm not quite sure what's going on with chapter 1 or the prologue of Unbound by Peyton Corinne, because it's an e-arc from NetGalley, which means sometimes the formatting is off. But for some bizarre reason, this one has symbols in place of letters in words and things like that. And I've just tried to re-download it just to see if a newer copy is a little bit cleaner, which unfortunately it is not at the moment, which is not a fault of the book or the author, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to be really interested in the book because it's about a neurodivergent goalie who is autistic and has OCD and maybe an on and off again girlfriend, partner. So I'm super keen to read it, and the parts that I could read that were a little bit easier to sort of read without me having to interpret the missing letters and figure out what's going on. I mean, I'm good, but I'm also easily distracted. So this is probably not going to be a read now. May have to be a read when it goes live. I don't know. I might even email the publisher and see if they have a cleaner copy that they're willing to send out, because I don't want to not read it. I'm very keen to. So that's unfortunate, but also not something I can control at this point in time. Alrighty, so next up is the first play by Katy Archer. So chapter 1 of the first play by Katy Archer is from Xander's perspective. He's obviously, I think it's football. I'm assuming it's football just based on some of the terminology, for a college football team. And it is the morning after a game. He's tired and sore, and he's catching up with his teammates and roommates after the game, and they're just talking about their experiences with girlfriends. Some of them have really positive experiences, others have not had great experiences, and yeah. Then, as far as I'm aware, chapter 2 starts with a flashback, and I'm not convinced I want that, especially for a college football romance, possibly on the chopping block. Next up is One Pucking Love, and I can't remember who the author is, so I guess we'll find out. We've got a lot of prologues for contemporary romance books today. This time for, One Pucking Love by Ellie Wade. We are in Iris's perspective in the prologue, and she is ruminating on Cade, who she's already had a relationship with. He's broken her heart, and apparently this is going to be their story. If you're telling me that you do not want to get back together with him in the prologue of this book, and the book is going to be about you getting back together again, it's not the kind of second chance romance I like. I'm happy if the second chance romance is because you've been separated by time and you need to work through that. But you having a clear indicator at the start of the book that you don't want to get back with this person, yikes. Next up is After Tonight by Lady Marie. So the first chapter of After Tonight by Lady Marie was really great. We are in Desiree's perspective. She gets a phone call from her mama asking for her to return some shoes. Her brother's going to come and pick them up. What actually happens is that one of her brother's co-workers, Isaiah, is the one to come to the door because her brother is giving him a lift, and she is very much attracted to him, and there's some low-key flirting. He pays for her sushi delivery when it turns up. I'm invested. I'm 14% of the way into the book, so it's a novella. This is also a potential. Right, next up is No Lie Lasts Forever. No Lie Lasts Forever by Mark Stevens is... I did actually read the summary of this because it's a thriller. We have Flynn in the first chapter, who is a journalist or a reporter, and she's called in because there is a hostage situation, and the person holding everyone hostage wants to talk to a journalist about it, and the whole thing goes horribly wrong because Flynn is not a hostage negotiator. But this story is also about a reformed serial killer, and I'm kind of intrigued about that angle. So that's enough to keep me reading for a few more chapters at some point. Next up is the Circus Infinite. All right, so I read the first chapter of the Circus Infinite by Wong. I really don't know how I feel about this. I remember why I picked it up, because the main character Jess is asexual, and it's something that gets recommended a lot when books with characters who are ace, I mentioned. But the first chapter, it was so long. It was so long. I was a little bit bored. Jess is obviously trying to escape or disappear from their life. And so there's a ruse. They're at a spaceport. Their ruse is to have their regular credentials seen as being boarded onto one vessel, while they are instead choosing to board a vessel to Persephone 9, which is kind of like a party planet. And while Jess is traveling, they meet Esme, who is a member of another race, and they're just talking, etc. But like it's really long. It's really long, and I just wasn't all that interested in it. So we're just going to keep moving on to Wonderland by Rachel someone. So Wonderland is by Rachel Ember. It is part of the In Vino Veritas series, which is the same Vermont-based world as Vino and Veritas, which is the series that I read last year. We are in Riley's perspective for the first chapter. He has come back to Vermont because his grandfather is in hospital and needs a carer, and he has been volunteered, asked to do the job. He's picking his grandfather up from the hospital and taking him home, where he discovers that, he doesn't quite know what's going on with his grandfather, but discovers that the house is a complete mess and that something's going on, but his grandfather is kind of reluctant. We also know that the first boy that he ever loved is in the town, Peter, that something happened before Riley left the town in his late teens. So yeah, as with all the books in sort of this shared universe, I'm intrigued enough to continue it at some point. Let's read Delay of Game. We have another prologue, and then chapter 1 jumps back 9 years. Anyway, I'm not too cranky because I actually enjoyed the setup for this one. So we have Jordan, who is a hockey player. He's new to the team. The team are welcoming him and have invited him out to a family bonfire with some teammates and some family members, and that's where he meets Allison, who is the sister of one of his new teammates. She is immediately attracted to him, and that's kind of the prologue. They have kind of like a awkward meet cute moment at this bonfire. All right, so book number 13 for this video is Beach Hut 512 or 512, which is a short story. So I'll either start reading it and not like it and DNF it, or I will finish reading it and then update you because there won't be chapters. I lied inadvertently. There are chapters, so you might get a chapter update. Honestly, I'm probably going to DNF Beach Hut 512. This is by Dorothy Koomson, and I don't know, it seems to be going past and present. We have 2 perspective characters, Sims and somebody else. Sims is on a date that's not going well. She finds out that her beach hut has been pushed over by vandals, and then we switch to the other character, and honestly, I just don't care. So that is going to be a no from me, which means we have fully DNF'd 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the 13 books. What I think I will probably do today is Lady Marie's book is a novella. So I might read that, and I might also read Wild Hopes by Evie Mitchell, just because it's Evie Mitchell. I think that's what we're going to do. Alrighty, so I finished After Tonight by Lady Marie. It is a short novella. It is very steamy. It is like the perfect kind of palate cleanser read when you just want to read something short and exactly what it is on the label. So as I said earlier, it's about Desiree and Isaiah. He is her brother's best friend. That her brother and Isaiah work as both firefighters, and they've kind of been dancing around an attraction to one another for a significant period of time. And then Desiree's best friend is having a 26th birthday party, and everyone is dressed up and having a great time. And Desiree and Isaiah have a not quite so one night stand in the middle of the party, and everyone is cool with it. There is no angst about it. It is just great, like top notch. There are 2 other couples that we get hints of in the book. There is Cami and probably Desiree's brother, and then also Trina and possibly Desiree's ex-boyfriend, who she's good friends with. There is no bad blood between them at all whatsoever. Again, no angst. No angst. Hallelujah. Perfect. No notes. So I'm also going to read Wild Hopes by Evie Mitchell, and I'll be back to talk about it when I'm done. So in true epic middle of the term Stef is exhausted style, I've read Wild Hopes before. I am 60% of the way into the book, and I started questioning, some of this sounds really familiar. I'm like, is it just familiar tropes to things I've read in a book or familiar scenes? And I'm like, I looked it up on Goodreads. I don't have it on my Goodreads because I'm terrible at updating Goodreads. Also, with Evie's books, I purchase them directly through her store, so they don't automatically update. And every now and then, because I'm also on her ARC team, usually because I'm terrible and I forget things, I pre-order something from her store, and then I also get an ARC copy of it, so I end up with multiple copies of the book. But yeah, I've read it before. So those of you who have been screaming at me since the very start of this video going, Stef, you've read the damn book. I have, but I'm memory not there. So I'm actually going to finish it because why not have a reread? Let's have a reread because we feel like it. It's bringing me joy. I'm loving the book. I just have a terrible, terrible, terrible memory. So I finished Wild Hopes, and so the scene that really made me remember this particular book, as I said, at about 60% of the way through the book, is that Hope is at a knitting group with her gran. By this stage, Hope and Justice are fake dating for his image while he is in town. They've obviously both got a crush on each other. She is a secret romance author. She's been writing a series of steamy rockstar romances with one of the characters based on him. Hasn't told him yet. Keeps trying to tell him and is worried about what he's going to say when he finds out. Turns out she doesn't really have to worry about anything in that regard. This knitting group scene is the thing that sticks in my mind because they go into the kitchen to get the morning tea and they end up burning the morning tea because they decide to make out in the kitchen. And there's also a subplot where in Hope's everyday life there is someone who is accusing her of bullying them at work, but really they're just a vindictive person trying to get what they want. There's always one. There's always one. Anyway, there's, you know, a bit of a scandal around that when it's revealed that Hope is dating Justice, and then there's a little minor breakup because he's an idiot. And then we get our happily ever after. And it's great. Like, it's Evie Mitchell. I can't really be mad that I forgot that I had already read this and ended up with a reread. As I said, it's very on brand for me. This is just kind of what you get. So at the end of these 13 books, we have read 2. We have DNF'd 5, which leaves us, if I am able to do math, with 5 books that will go on my try chapter list that of books that I've tried chapters of but haven't read yet. I may not put them into the spinner wheel for the read all the books from last year's try chapter videos. That's kind of a project for last year. But if I do read down those books and I need more, I will add them in for later on. That is the first try chapter video for 2026. Of course, I would make a fool of myself while doing it. That's just very typical. In the comments, I'd love to know, have you read any of these books or are you planning on picking any of them up? Feel free to let me know. Otherwise, I hope that wherever you are in the world, you're staying safe and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, everyone.